Have you ever had a moment when on paper everything was working, career steady, relationship stable, money coming in, no immediate crisis, and yet underneath something felt hollow, a quiet unease, a fatigue that sleep couldn't fix, a whisper that asked, "Is this all?" You look around and life seems full of noise, tasks, notifications, people. But somewhere inside, the center feels vacant, not broken, just vacant. Most men don't talk about this kind of emptiness because it's not dramatic enough to be called depression, not acute enough to be called crisis. It's the slow erosion of meaning beneath the weight of constant doing. Carl Jung called this condition spiritual starvation, when the outer structures of life have been built successfully, but the inner world has gone neglected. When the persona, the mask you show the world, becomes too strong, too efficient, too admired, and begins to suffocate the deeper self beneath it. This episode is about that hidden famine, why it appears, what it's trying to teach you, and how it can become the doorway to your most authentic life. Because the opposite of emptiness is not busyness, it's depth. 1. What it actually is and what it isn't. Emptiness is not a flaw. It's not laziness or lack of gratitude. It's the psyche's way of saying the outer man has outgrown the inner one. Many men believe that emptiness means failure, that if they were more grateful, more focused, more ambitious, they wouldn't feel this void. But that's not true. The void is not punishment. It's invitation. It's the space the soul creates when it's ready for truth, deeper than performance. Jung wrote that when the persona, your public self, becomes overdeveloped, it begins to steal energy from the self. You become efficient, polished, even successful, but inside, your life force diminishes. You've been trained to excel outwardly, but you've forgotten how to listen inwardly. This inner drought often comes at midlife or after achieving something you once believed would complete you. You reach the top of one mountain, a job, a relationship, a status, only to find that meaning didn't wait at the summit. Emptiness, then, is not the absence of meaning. It's the space where false meaning has died and true meaning hasn't yet been born. It's the dark soil between harvests, uncomfortable, yes, but fertile if you have the patience to stay. The myth of our culture says fullness comes from consumption, more experiences, more success, more connection. Jung's truth is harder. Fullness comes from integration, from reclaiming the parts of yourself that were left behind in the climb. 2. How it appears in ordinary life. You can see this emptiness in ordinary patterns that almost everyone mistakes for normal life. You wake up, check your phone, rush to work, complete tasks, scroll through news, attend meetings, come home, watch something, fall asleep, and repeat. You stay busy because stillness feels unbearable. In relationships, you show up dutifully but feel detached. You talk but rarely connect. You love the person beside you but can't always feel it. You mistake comfort for intimacy. You might even keep achieving new projects, fitness goals, travel, side ventures, but each victory fades faster. The applause doesn't reach you anymore. The markers of emptiness are subtle but unmistakable. Disproportion. Small things feel heavy. You're easily drained by what once excited you. Projection. You envy those who seem more alive without knowing what that even means anymore. Repetition. You keep cycling through distractions, a new hobby, a new goal, a new flirtation, only to end up in the same emotional landscape, quiet, flat, numb. But remember, numbness is not absence of feeling. It's the body protecting you from feelings that haven't yet been digested. The psyche dulls sensation when too much energy has gone outward for too long. What you call emptiness might actually be your soul's way of pulling the plug, saying, stop, be still, remember me. 3. Origins and the boy who stayed. Where does this begin? Often, long before adulthood. Many men grow up learning that love must be earned, that performance equals worth, that to be accepted you must deliver, behave, achieve, please. So the boy inside learns to become useful. He learns to scan every room for what's expected of him and become that. The good son, the funny friend, the reliable worker, the ambitious dreamer. He learns adaptation before authenticity. And while this earns him approval, it also exiles his spontaneous self. The one who feels for no reason, plays for no purpose, wanders without agenda. By the time he becomes a man, he has mastered outer success but forgotten inner aliveness. The boy who once laughed freely is still somewhere inside, waiting to be remembered, but he's buried under layers of competence. Jung said that midlife crisis is not about age. It's about this buried boy trying to return. The adult has built a fortress of achievement, but the boy still wants to be seen. That emptiness you feel, it's the silence of that boy's voice echoing inside a structure he didn't choose. It's not depression, it's homesickness for the self. The task is not to destroy the fortress, but to open a door, to let the boy back in, not to run the show, but to bring color to the grey walls. 4. Contact without collapse. The moment you start listening to the emptiness, something strange happens. Fear. You fear what it will reveal if you slow down. You fear losing your edge, your drive, your mask. You fear the question, if I'm not performing, who am I? This is the threshold where most men retreat, back into busyness, back into distractions. But if you can stay, if you can sit quietly with the emptiness without trying to fill it, you begin to sense something living underneath. It may come as sadness first, grief for the years spent pretending, or it may come as anger at how no one taught you how to be whole, but both are signs of contact. Jung called this the night sea journey, when a man must pass through the waters of his own unconscious to reclaim what was lost. Contacting your emptiness doesn't mean collapsing into despair. It means learning to hold it, to let it breathe, to treat it not as an enemy, but as an old friend who has been waiting to speak. You may find that the emptiness begins to change texture, from void to depth, from deadness to stillness. You start to realize it was never emptiness at all. It was spaciousness, unrecognized. 5. Containment before expression. Before you rush to fix the emptiness, through new hobbies, new relationships, new philosophies, learn containment. Containment means allowing what you feel without rushing to discharge it, to sit with longing without labeling it, to be bored without distraction, to be still without panic. Containment is the adult form of intimacy, the ability to hold tension without breaking. Most men confuse expression with healing. They think talking endlessly about their pain or acting it out through rebellion will bring peace. But that's just another ego performance. Real containment is quieter. It's the ability to stay present with emptiness without demanding it to leave. In Jung's language, this is the alchemical vessel, the psyche's crucible where transformation happens not by doing, but by enduring. You begin to notice that the emptiness itself is teaching you something, that your worth is not defined by movement, noise, or validation, that your being, even when silent, is enough. And slowly, something sacred starts to return. Not excitement, not pleasure, but a grounded warmth, a sense of being at home within your own life, even when it's quiet. 6. Consequences of avoidance versus integration. If you avoid your emptiness, life will fill it for you, with addictions, distractions, and noise. You'll chase stimulation to escape stillness, dopamine in the form of screens, endless goals, constant productivity, but no amount of pleasure can substitute for meaning. Avoidance keeps the wheel spinning. It turns life into a loop of temporary highs and quiet despair. You may look full, but you'll feel hollow. Integration, however, transforms the emptiness into space, creative space, spiritual space, relational space. When you integrate your emptiness, you stop fearing it. You start to see that it was never emptiness, but capacity, the soul's capacity for more depth, more meaning, more truth. The cost of avoidance is chronic restlessness. The reward of integration is peace. Not comfort, peace. The kind that doesn't depend on circumstances. When you stop filling your life and start inhabiting it, fullness returns, not as stimulation, but as stillness. 7 archetypal framing king, warrior, magician, lover. In Jung's masculine map, each archetype holds a way of relating to emptiness. The king faces it as responsibility. He doesn't escape through distraction. He sits on his throne even when the court is silent. He listens to the kingdom of his inner world and governs with presence, not panic. The warrior faces it through discipline. He learns that comfort is the enemy of purpose. He channels the void into action aligned with values, not as escape, but as expression. The magician faces it through insight. He enters the emptiness willingly, knowing it's the portal to wisdom. He turns silence into revelation. The lover faces it through connection. He fills the void not with stimulation, but with presence, with beauty, nature, touch, gratitude. When these 4 work together, emptiness transforms from threat to teacher. The king holds order, the warrior endures tension, the magician interprets it, the lover redeems it. Integration means letting all 4 archetypes have their seat at the table, so no single part of you tries to fill the void alone. 8. Responsibility and witness. If you've made it this far, you already know there is no quick fix for emptiness. There is only relationship. You must learn to live alongside it, to visit that quiet inner place, not as a punishment, but as prayer. Spend time in solitude, but not isolation. Solitude is the space where the self speaks, not through words, but through feeling. Isolation is the ego's attempt to control even the silence. Let your life slow down enough to hear yourself. Walk without music. Sit without scrolling. Drive without talking. Let boredom become sacred again. And if you can, find brothers who are willing to walk this same path. Men who are not trying to fill your emptiness, but who honor it as the sign of awakening it truly is. They will help you remember that you are not broken, you are becoming. You feel empty because you've been living from the surface for too long. The soul doesn't speak in noise, it speaks in echoes. And what you're hearing now in the quiet hours of dissatisfaction is the echo of your own depth calling you home. Don't rush to fill it. Let it stay, let it breathe, let it expand. Because the man who can sit calmly with emptiness becomes a vessel for meaning. The man who resists it becomes a prisoner of distraction. Be the vessel, be the man who can contain both fullness and void without losing himself. Not perfectly, reliably. Begin.